was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
You know, I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, you know, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. You know, not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. You know, those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. You know, that goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, you know, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so you know, in general, you always have to be careful. And you know, I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy. Very proud of the work of the foundation. You know, that's what I get up every day and focus.
Real steady.
Actually, on the lap, you're sitting. Did you wait?
No.
Abby, isn't Jeremy on the other side? Where am I? I'm going to show you. Ow! Oh, Rudy, he's actually going to sit here when you're done. No? Okay. Do we have an alcohol?
One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No. The problem was the fact that once he had been convicted, I stayed. And that's the bit that as it were, I kick myself for on a daily basis, because it was not something that was becoming of a member of the royal family. And we try and uphold the highest standards and practices, and I let the side down. Simple as that.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read it.
I'm really getting sick of this. I want some of that meal and I want it now. Okay? Here, take this. This is junk mail.
About showbiz kids. It's hard, man.
When Family Matters debuted on ABC in 1989 as part of the network's Friday night TGIF lineup, it was a show much different from the one it would become. As a spin-off of the popular series Perfect Strangers, Family Matters stood out from most other sitcoms of the day by focusing on an all-black cast. These characters didn't fall into 80s stereotypes, but were well-thought-out people. Allow me to run back in time.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read it.
That theme song brings back memories, right? But as it turns out, behind the camera, ugly things happen, and now everything is coming out thick and fast.
I'm really getting sick of this. I want some of that meal and I want it now. Okay? Here, take this. This is junk mail.
Those who were lucky to watch the show surely must remember Jamie Foxworth, who played Judy Winslow. After years in the dark, the veteran actress has now come out gun-blazing, revealing ugly, dark secrets about the famed show. Hear what a former cast member had to say here.
You know how I feel about showbiz kids. It's hard, man.
In the show, there was Carl Winslow, played by Reginald Bell Johnson, a lovable Chicago cop, and his wife Harriet, played by Jo Marie Payton. With them lived Harriet's widowed sister Rachel, played by Thelma Hopkins, and her young son Richie, cast by Britton James, as well as Carl's elderly mother Estelle, real name Rosetta Lenoir. At the forefront were Winslow's three children, teenagers Eddie, played by Darius McCrary, and Laura, played by Kelly Shaneen Williams, and their youngest Judy, played by Jamie Foxworth. For 4 popular seasons, these characters fought in the most wholesome of ways, only to make up at the end of each episode in typical sitcom fashion. But then, for the strangest of reasons, Judy disappeared from the series. Her character wasn't killed off or recast. Judy Winslow was suddenly just gone, as if she had never existed and would never be mentioned again. The decision left fans and members of the cast furious.
That subject of Judy, Jamie Foxworth and all, don't think for a minute that we did not go in. We were together. I was personally very hurt by that.
Judy's character was just 9 years old when Family Matters first started. She didn't usually get as much storyline time as the other characters in the Winslow family. But she was far from a background character. She was portrayed as your typical child. She loved to play with dolls. She struggled with school. She loved her big sister, even if they fought, and later on, she found a close friend and play buddy in her cousin Richie. Sometimes, being the youngest child, Judy didn't receive as much attention from her busy parents. She might act out a time or two, but in the end, Carl and Harriet were there for her and loved her.
At the time, Jamie's mother felt that her character was being underserviced, and the producers took it as a slap in the face, and unfortunately,
a close friend and fellow cast member of Jamie E., Darius McCrary, recently came out to reveal some shocking details about the sitcom.
Eddie says he was a victim of sexual misconduct when he was a child actor in Hollywood. No. Darius says he was a victim of sexual misconduct when he was a child actor in Hollywood, okay?
Darius, most known for his role as Eddie Winslow on Family Matters, said he was inappropriately touched as a young man by an unnamed Hollywood executive. Though he didn't elaborate on the allegation further while speaking with one of TMZ's lemmings in Beverly Hills, he did express his thoughts on the sexual assault claim against friend and comedian Charlie Sheen.
when I said that statement, I was defending a very good friend of mine who was under some serious fire and some allegations.
All I can say is Charlie is one of the most magnificent and kind people that God ever created. And I can't see Charlie Sheen doing anything inappropriate, Darius said outside the Montage Hotel when asked about claims that Sheen, at age 19, had sexually assaulted the late Corey Haim when he was 13. Haim's mother has since rebuked the allegations, saying in an interview that her son was abused by someone else, not Sheen. People who are thirsty are always looking for a good drink, and from what I know, Charlie Sheen will quench your thirst, Darius said of the allegations. Drink that. McCrary continued with the thirsty line of thought, adding that he wouldn't be worried about the allegations.
If you're in this business, we've all at some point been inappropriately touched.
But I will say this, though, he said. I was inappropriately touched by a Hollywood executive, and I'm not going to tell on nobody. This happened when I was a young man. Asked to elaborate, the actor declined. I'm not thirsty, he said, so I ain't got to tell my business. Darius hasn't spoken further on the alleged incident since the TMZ clip was published.
I need another piece before I can really give you an honest answer.
Cute 3J.
But as we've mentioned, in the first 4 seasons of Family Matters, the Winslows had 3 kids, Eddie, Laura, and little Judy, portrayed by Jamie Foxworth. Then the character disappeared, never seen or even mentioned again. But what really happened? Did the family feel she was unwanted? Was she lazy? Untalented, maybe? Nope. According to Foxworth, the show's creative team wrote off Judy because they didn't want her around. The producers felt that they could do it and no one would notice, the actress told The Root. They figured they could just throw me away, no explanation at all. Some of my cast members knew before I did. Her TV mom, Jo Marie Payton, tried to change producers' minds, but to no avail. This was the first and by no means the last tough break Foxworth experienced.
This celebrity rehab, that's when I started weaning myself off of marijuana and drinking.
But the sack may have come after she was abused by one of the show's producers. And when she threatened to speak out, they chose to intimidate her. Foxworth turned to music, joining her 2 older sisters in the R&B trio, She. The group released just one album, 1997's Three's a Charm, and fizzled out after a lack of success. Then, at 19 and in need of money, Foxworth returned to acting in adult films. Under the name Crave, Foxworth appeared in such notable projects as Booty Talk 20 and My Baby Got Back 29. She later said on the Dr. Oz show that she also got into porn as a form of rebellion against her very strict upbringing, but that she wasn't comfortable with just seeing myself in that light. She made her last dirty movie in 2002. As it turns out, all these were ways to channel out the pain of being sexually molested as a kid and then fired while working on the sitcom Family Matters.
And I was like, if you just give me the healthiest son, I will stop today. And I stopped. And I haven't had a craving since.
While she got herself out of the woods professionally, Foxworth still had some personal demons to slay long after Family Matters had come to an end. In the 2000s, she became heavily dependent on alcohol and marijuana while also struggling with some mental health issues. It got bad for me, she said on the Dr. Oz show. So for most people, drinking and smoking weed is really not that bad. But for me, I had a little bit of depression and I was basically keeping myself to myself. She got to the point where she was just hanging out by herself in her bedroom, getting high and almost always alone. When she realized she'd cut herself off from the world and didn't really have friends, she knew it was time to get some help. In 2008, she appeared on VH1's Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, but still continued to smoke marijuana for a few months after that, quitting it for good when she learned she was pregnant. And, like we mentioned, not only Foxworth left the show and faced it rough outside here. In 2014, her close friend and castmate Darius McCrary decided to marry Tammy Bronner of the Harlem Globetrotters. By 2017, that marriage was over, and it reportedly ended in a frightening way. According to E! News, Bronner received a restraining order against Darius after alleging multiple counts of abuse against her and their infant daughter. Bronner reported that Darius's excessive drinking and drug use made him violent and that he not only struck her, but held his daughter over a pot of boiling water while screaming about how he wished she'd never been born. Another time, Bronner says, the actor flew into a rage and threw picture frames around the house, just barely missing hitting anyone. Apparently, this isn't the first time Darius was accused of domestic abuse. His previous wife, Karine Steffens, claimed he perpetuated multiple acts of violence against her. Darius was ordered to move out of the family home and stay 100 yards away from his wife and daughter. In response, Darius's attorney labeled Bronner a predator motivated by a desperate desire to extort money out of his client while trying to create an advantage in an impending divorce and custody battle. For his part, the actor posted a photo of himself and his daughter to Instagram, captioned, "Yay right. Sad some people will do anything make #TMZ. I'm starting to think Family Matters really did harbor some demonic elements." 2 weeks after a judge granted Tammy Bronner a restraining order against Darius McCrary, the actor got one against Bronner. According to TMZ, Darius claimed that Bronner had violent tendencies, alleging that she threw a hot iron at him, leaving a second-degree burn on his chest. Weeks after the courts ordered these two to avoid each other, Bronner filed for divorce. Citing irreconcilable differences in legal documents, which TMZ got a hold of, Bronner asked that Darius be blocked from seeing their daughter until he sought treatment for substance abuse and attended domestic abuse intervention sessions. And that's not the end for the Family Matters cast members.
I can even explain why Steve Urkel worked. I remember I watched Family Matters, just like you probably as a kid who got the TV Guide, and I watched anything.
Abuse allegations also dogged Darius's Family Matters co-star Jaleel White. In 2012, Bridget Hardy, White's former girlfriend and the mother of his daughter, told Star that 2 years earlier, their relationship came undone after the former Steve Urkel turned violent. After finding evidence of infidelity on the actor's phone, Hardy says White blew up after she confronted him about it and then struck her across the chest area. "It gets worse," Hardy reported. "He pushed me into the toilet and it broke." Hardy got out of the house and took her daughter with her on a planned out-of-town trip. When they returned, White had changed the locks on the house and placed all her possessions in a storage facility.
How has life as a father been?
Woo, it just means I do more push-ups, and the midnight snacking just gets worse.
When Hardy went public with her story, White waved away the allegations. "When you're doing well in life, it's par for the course. Certain individuals will try and knock you down," he said in a statement. When the individual is also the mother of your only child, it is particularly hurtful. White further explained to people that Hardy made her comments when she did to get the upper hand in child custody negotiations. So yeah, the Family Matters show was messed up from the very beginning with sporadic cases of sexual harassment, and it ruined close all those who participated in it. From Foxworth to Darius White, do you think there is a chance all these former stars are making up their abuses as kids? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.
Then I get a call from somebody. Hi, Jamie Foxx. Took me to Quincy Jones's house. He was asked.
Allen has put Oprah on blast. Rose recently called out Oprah on Twitter over her past associations with some controversial men.
You'd think that the fact that Jamie Foxx is bedridden would prevent him from spilling the tea on the things that happen behind closed doors in Hollywood. Well, think again, because the rapper cum actor has been on a roll recently. It seems that while everyone has been thinking Quincy Jones to be the gatekeeper of gay rituals in the industry, Fox might have just brought another name into the mix. The name here is none other than Oprah. And not only is she above Jones in the ritual hierarchy, but it seems she might have actually set Fox up to be taken advantage of by Jones. Dark, isn't it? I hate to be that person, but spoiler alert, this is just the beginning of this story, so stay tuned. Generally, when Oprah's name is mentioned, everyone thinks icon. But the truth is actually that there's a lot about Oprah that most people do not know. I mean, yeah, her name has come up in 1 or 2 arguments about policies that should be enacted in the country, but there's a much deeper and darker side to the controversies surrounding the TV host. This is why Jamie's seeming revelation sent the entire social media into a frenzy about how she could possibly have been involved in pimping him out to Quincy Jones. And as unexpected as it may seem, there's actually a lot of substance to the claim. Jamie Foxx has been an entertainment mainstay for decades now, with an Oscar and a Grammy under his belt, as well as a best-selling memoir. But in a recent interview with Access Hollywood's Scott Evans, Foxx revealed that his career very nearly took a different turn, until Oprah Winfrey stepped in to give him some advice. In 2005, Foxx was riding high from the critical acclaim he garnered for his performance as Ray Charles in the musical biopic Ray, a role for which he would eventually win the Academy Award for Best Actor. But his celebrating had turned into non-stop partying. Winfrey took notice of this and called him up out of the blue. While the actor thought her involvement was because she wanted better for him, it turns out she had her own plans all along. She said, "You're blowing it," Foxx recalls, "because we were just out hanging, we weren't taking the moment seriously." She said, "I want to take you somewhere so you can understand the significance of what you're doing." Winfrey took Foxx to the home of record producer Quincy Jones, where an impromptu intervention had been set up. Doing an uncanny impersonation of Jones, Foxx remembers being told, "You've done a great job on Ray, but you've F***ed everything else up now. You gotta buckle down, baby." He continues, Oprah says, "Now, are you ready to meet the person that I've brought you here to talk with?" And it was Sidney Poitier. He says, "I saw you one time. You were at a party. Do you remember that?" I was like, "Yes." Tears. And he says, "When I watched your performance, it made me grow artistically 2 inches. And I give something to you." While this interaction might not be considered the least bit weird with any other person, the fact that it was coming from Jones seems to have sent chills down Fox's spine. And I'll tell you why. If you have even a tiny bit of interest in Hollywood, you must know Quincy Jones. He is a legendary producer, musician, songwriter, and so on. Thus, he is also given the title of the Black Godfather of the industry. Quincy Jones has produced an impressive list of notable artists during his career, including Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin, Rufus and Chaka Khan, and the most famous Michael Jackson. But this is not the only reason he has been hitting the headlines. For decades, Quincy's S** duality has always been a topic of great buzz on the internet. It has always been speculated that Quincy Jones forced men into gay relationships in exchange for making them famous and big in Hollywood. As scandalous as it sounds, the list of Quincy's hookups seems to be unlimited, but 2 of the names from Quincy Jones's flings history have always been the most discussed. These are none other than Tupac and Will Smith. It's been long rumored that Jones forced them into sleeping with him. This ambiguous relationship with Quincy affected them quite a lot as he tried to turn them gay like him. If you are able to recall correctly, remember the interview with Tupac in which he exposed Quincy Jones to his sexual advances? In the interview, Tupac revealed that Quincy asked him if he could stick it in his backside. But guess what? The interview was mysteriously wiped out from the entire internet. Only someone as influential as Quincy is able to accomplish a feat like that. Since Tupac is not alive to confirm the audio, Quincy must have decided to clean his hands from his dirty actions. Even Napoleon seems to deny all these rumors. In an interview, when Napoleon was confronted with the alleged relationship between Tupac and Quincy, he denied everything on the spot and started defending Jones. But no matter how much they try to hide, fans still remember to this day each and every word of the Tupac interview. One person commented on it, "I heard the audio of Tupac saying that about Quincy with my own ears about 10 years ago." Quincy is or was the key holder to the black music industry. Anyone at the top level had gotten there by partaking in his parties. Dre. But this is not the first time Tupac expressed his frustration with Quincy about his nasty actions. Back in the day, in an interview, Tupac lashed out on a lot of associates and made some daring remarks about them. So was he referring to Quincy Jones for making people submit to his fetishes? It might be true since Tupac and Quincy got quite close during his career. Maybe Quincy took that as an opportunity and decided to make his move on Tupac. They were close to the point that before his death, Tupac was even considering leaving his signed label Death Row Records to join Quincy's label. And if he did all of this to Tupac, do you really think Jamie Foxx would have been an exception? I'd say it's pretty unlikely, which is why the actor has seemingly chosen to expose both Quincy and Oprah. While it is easy to doubt that Oprah might actually have been responsible for Quincy picking a liking to Fox, this is actually not the first time the television host has reportedly enabled assault by the hands of someone close to her. A while back, a British actress alleged that Oprah had been an accessory to Harvey Weinstein sexually taking advantage of her. British actress Katie Noble said Tuesday she was head over heels impressed when she first met Weinstein at an event in London because he was hanging out with model Campbell and had megastar Oprah swinging off his arm. "I thought obviously this man has something amazing in store for me," she said during a teary-eyed press conference in Manhattan to discuss the sex trafficking lawsuit she filed a day earlier against Weinstein in Manhattan federal court. After meeting Weinstein in London, Noble said she thought nothing of bringing her showreel to his hotel room when she saw him again in Cannes in February 2014. Once inside the hotel room, however, "He didn't seem that interested in my showreel," Noble said. Instead, he began touching her while discussing hooking her up with a modeling agency in London. Noble is the latest in a long line of actresses and models who claim Weinstein either forced himself on them or coerced them into sex with promises of career advancement. This is someone Oprah has notably been close to over the years. For those who may not know, Harvey Weinstein is an American filmmaker who rose to become the face of an abuser for the #MeToo movement. Per the news, 5 years ago, the story that had long been whispered in the halls of agencies and studios, as well as on film and television sets, finally became public. A series of bombshell articles revealed that Harvey Weinstein harassed and assaulted dozens of women for decades and used his power to bully them into silence. According to TMZ, Weinstein said Winfrey encouraged him to defend himself publicly, implying that the TV host might have actually been on Weinstein's side against so many women. However, her people said they never spoke directly and she was only interested in talking to him for a TV interview. Interestingly, Winfrey made no mention of Weinstein during her inspiring Golden Globe speech. She has made it clear during other public utterances on the scandal that the cultural shift underway went much further than Weinstein's crimes alone. Considering her relationship with Weinstein and all the dirt on his name, coupled with the fact that Jamie Foxx isn't the only one she's allegedly led into a lion's den, well, in this case, Quincy Jones's house, do you think it's far-fetched to believe this is something she's been doing for a while? Well, fans seem to believe the woman would do anything as long as it puts a couple of bucks in her pocket. One Redditor wrote, "This is not an unpopular opinion. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think many people that have followed Oprah understand that she is a businesswoman first and has many times chosen money over morals. Who knows, maybe this is the end of the road for her, or maybe she'll scale through as she's done in the past. That's it."
Tonight, Hollywood is completely closed for business. Members of the Screen Actors Guild voted to go on strike today after failing to reach a deal with major studios. The last time actors and writers were on strike at the same time was 63 years ago, when actor Ronald Reagan was head of the union. Entertainment Tonight co-host Nichelle Turner reports the labor dispute could end up transforming the industry.
It's a giant blowout party with all the Barbies and planned choreography and
If Hollywood studios had dreamed of a fairy tale ending,
we stand in solidarity.
This is not it.
We had no choice. We are the victims here.
160,000 performers will now join 11,000 writers on the picket lines and not on the red carpet. Actors will not be able to promote their films at premieres for big-budget films like Barbie, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, and Oppenheimer.
Lupita Nyong'o,
Fan favorite events like next week's Comic-Con will be without its superheroes. The main sticking points include safeguards for the use of AI, along with pay and residuals for streaming shows. Netflix alone has more than 230 million subscribers. SAG-AFTRA claims actors are missing out on millions.
We had to protect the people who are kind of on the margins.
Character actors such as Mehdi Barakchian, who appear on network TV shows but can't pay his bills.
The corporations that are using our faces, our likeness, our content, all the writing, all the storytelling are reaping tremendous profits.
Today, Disney CEO Bob Iger weighed in.
There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing.
Nobody wants a work stoppage, but we gotta be working under contracts that are fair.
Now, the writer strike had already impacted late-night TV and some daytime programming, but now with the actors on the picket lines as well, if this strike drags on, films could be delayed indefinitely, and all the new fall television shows will be on hold. So expect lots of reruns. Nora?
Yeah, we're still live every night. Michelle Turner, thank you so much.